Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Bruce Frisco. It is Tuesday, the 27th of January. This is CTV News. Tonight, closures and cancellations as the cleanup continues. A shocking situation investigating sexual assaults in a Maritime nursing home. And the plow just went by. A relatable tune from a frustrated shoveler.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News. Here is Bruce Frisco.
Good evening. It was another day of storm cleanup around the region today as that slow-moving weather system finally moved on. Along with the piles of snow, it also left a slew of closures and cancellations. CTV's Emma Convey has more.
Snowbanks continue to pile up around the Halifax area as many dig their way out of their driveways.
I love it. It's wonderful. It's not too bad out here. The snow's so light and fluffy, so it's just super easy to move this time.
The only thing I don't like is clean it. That's it.
Cleanup crews worked to clear priority 1 and 2 routes throughout Halifax last night.
Crews have had no issues with moving it around. The extra serving of snow that we got overnight just kind of put us back a little bit because we made a lot of progress yesterday. Crews were getting onto residential streets, and then we got quite a bit more snow overnight, which has just put them back on the main roads.
For the third time in 10 days, schools were closed in Halifax.
Snow, inclement weather, icy road conditions, and lack of visibility. Specifically, when we're talking about today, there was an additional snowfall over the course of the evening, around 8 to 12 centimeters across HRM.
Many restaurants, including this Italian cafe, were closed Monday, a first time since opening 2 years ago. They're just grateful to welcome back customers.
Thank you to the municipality because they take care very well to the street. I just have some complaint from my client about the sidewalk because it's not clean yet.
Emma Convey, CTV News.
And for a second day, flights to and from the region's largest airport were disrupted as crews struggled to keep up out there. Runways at Halifax Stanfield were closed for 3.5 hours this morning, and the facility called in double the number of winter operations staff. Still, it was kind of an uphill battle.
What the crews are actually battling today is that drifting, blowing snow that's already on the airfield.
I actually left my suitcase at home with my passport, so this gives time for someone to rush my passport over, so I'm not that upset.
An estimated 2/3 of the 120 scheduled flights to the airport were canceled on Monday. Today's flights started moving just before noon.
Get the Maritimes top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Popular brand of baby biscuits are being recalled tonight. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says the Gerber brand Arrowroot biscuits are being recalled due to the possible presence of pieces of soft plastic and paper. Cookies were sold right across the country. The agency says the biscuits should not be consumed, distributed, or sold. They should be thrown out or returned to the store where they were purchased. Now to a disturbing story from St. John. Police there are investigating offenses of a sexual nature with at least a dozen victims between their 70s and 90s at a local nursing home. Police say they have identified a suspect, but so far no charges have been announced. CTV's Nick Moore has the story.
The St. John Police Force said it received information from a long-term care facility last week that has led to an investigation of alleged sexual offenses at the location. A memo from Loch Lomond Villa was sent to the families of residents on Friday, saying the administration had become aware of a serious situation at the village that had become a police investigation. St. John Police say the family members of 12 residents have been notified about the investigation and that there's a possibility that there will be more families notified in the future. The age of the victims range from their 70s to their 90s. Police say a suspect has been identified but did not provide additional information of any pending charges on Tuesday. Police say the suspect is not a resident nor a staff member. Health Minister Dr. John Dornan was asked about the investigation today at an unrelated announcement but did not share any information.
I can confirm that the residents that are there are safe, that they're not at risk of further violations.
In a statement, Loch Lomond Villa CEO Ashley King says existing safety protocols remain in place and additional measures have been implemented, including the presence of an on-site security company. Loch Lomond Villa continues to review and strengthen procedures to support resident safety. Cecile Casista is the executive director of the Coalition for Seniors and Nursing Home Residents' Rights.
But we're talking about people that are vulnerable, that basically are not able to speak for themselves. And it's so sad when these kinds of things happen. I'm really pleased that the home did reveal or make it open, because I'm a firm believer that if it had gone directly to social development, I don't think we'd know as much as we know today.
The Department of Social Development did not have any comment today, except to say it was an ongoing investigation. St. John Police say a dedicated phone line has been established for families of affected residents so they can speak directly to an investigator. Nick Moore, CTV News, St. John.
A key witness for the prosecution took the stand today at the Jansen Baker double murder trial in Moncton. Zachary Travers told the court he drove Baker, a longtime friend, to a neighborhood in Dieppe on September 7th, 2019. That is the same day that Bernard and Rosemarie Saunier were shot to death in their home. Travers said he went as far as the sunroom at the house but left. He testified he saw Baker pointing his hands in the air and yelling before he heard a scream and then 2 bangs. Baker has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder. Ride-sharing companies will not have to follow the same rules as Halifax taxis, at least for now. Regional Council today voting down a motion that would have forced outfits like Uber to operate under the same regulations as the cab companies. CTV's Callum Smith has details.
How many? I don't know.
Halifax doesn't know how many rideshare drivers it has due to a lack of data sharing between the companies, such as Uber, and the city. A disappointing surprise for city councillors.
They have committed to start that data next month.
Currently, HRM licenses taxi drivers individually and rideshare companies as whole entities. So if there's an issue with a driver, the city can issue a $235 fine to the company or revoke the company's license. Councillor Kathy Daigle-Gammon was taken aback learning staff found a gap in regulations regarding rideshare driver eligibility to work if they have a criminal conviction, especially having 26 nieces or nephews.
If I think that one of them is in a car with a driver who had a criminal conviction, then I feel awfully responsible as any investigator as we have to make this vote. Currently, rideshare companies, or TNCs, collect background checks while taxi drivers submit them to the city.
The TNCs should be operating by the same rules as our taxi drivers are. My big concern was the criminal records check and insurance regulations. I want to make sure that anybody enters in a TNC rideshare drive is going to be safe.
But that motion was defeated, led by the mayor, who says more discussion needs to happen with key players.
To bring the taxi industry, the TNC industry, and HRM regulators to the table so that we can map out a way to harmonize the two regulations of the two services together in a way that keeps costs down and limits regulatory burden.
Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
The ongoing battle over bike lanes is heating up at Halifax Regional Council again. In an evening news release, Mayor Andy Fillmore says the latest cost estimate for HRM's cycling network has ballooned to $85 million from the original $25 million. Fillmore says he simply cannot support the current plan because of that price tag, especially in these economically challenging times. He's urging the city to examine lower cost alternatives, as other jurisdictions have done. In the past, some councillors have argued for forging ahead with the plan, noting a sizable number of routes are already complete, and encouraging active transportation has been a council priority since 2014. Proponents have also suggested it'll help traffic by cutting the number of cars on the road. Nova Scotia's Auditor General says public reporting on the provincial health system needs improvement so taxpayers can see if their multi-billion-dollar investment is paying off. Kim Adair releasing a new report today saying changes are needed in how the province reports data on the health system. Provincial government's 2022 health plan promised to provide regular progress reports on topics like access to primary care and long-term care, the number of doctors and nurses in the province, and other things. Adair's report identified issues in the province's reporting on ER wait times, the number of patients who leave emergency rooms without being seen. The health department says the latter especially can be misleading because some patients receive care virtually or are triaged and directed elsewhere. New Brunswick is bringing back elected members of the public to its health authority boards. Till 3 years ago, both Horizon and Vitalite had elected and appointed members, but that practice ended by the provincial government after the death of a patient in an ER waiting room. The change requires legislation, but the health minister says it's necessary.
Well, there is a crisis today. Our boards are very proactive in getting us through that, dealing with emergency departments, ALC patients, primary care. And I think that we can augment that by increasing transparency, by having elected people on those boards.
It is worth noting Horizon and Vitalite need to be consulted on the move, so it's unlikely that elected members would be in place until the 2030 election cycle. More indications tonight. Nova Scotia is banking on wind to replace coal-fired electricity. A number of projects are underway, and officials say coal should be history in about 4 years' time.
There'll be 5 projects on completion by the end of 26. Then we have 4 more by the end of 28, and that will bring us very close to our 70, probably 75, 78%.
As a backup, the province is building 2 quick-start natural gas plants. Plans are also in the works to expand transmission to share power with other provinces. Still to come tonight, Kaylin's full forecast, and we'll introduce you to a very rare and special breed of puppies in New Brunswick. Coming up next, though, stuck in the past.
All parties that have been involved have an obligation to the community to come together and find a path forward.
Once a hub of government activity, what is holding back the Centennial building? We'll look for answers when we come back.
With Aaron and Peter.
Hey, congratulations to Chris Summers of Middle Sackville, winner of trip number 6 of 30 to Beaches, Turks and Caicos.
Password to Paradise continues. We give away another trip tomorrow at 7 a.m.
You know, for decades, it stood at the center of the provincial government in New Brunswick, but Fredericton's Centennial building is really a shell of what it used to be, a reminder of wasted years and lost opportunity. CTV's Laura Brown has more on what's holding up development there.
It was built as a monument to Canada's 100th birthday and housed the halls of power for almost half a century. But for over a decade now, the Centennial building has sat empty, shadowed by its replacement that sits across the street.
I would like to see it utilized.
It's just sad that it's sitting vacant for so long.
It's certainly an opportunity that's ripe for the taking, and I think that all parties that have been involved have an obligation to the community to come together and find a path forward.
That path forward is hard to see. The building has seen some twists and turns since becoming vacant 13 years ago. A possible courthouse under the Brian Gallant Liberal government. The Blaine Higgs Conservative government put a stop to that, selling it for $4 million 6 years ago to Centennial Heritage Properties, a private company that initially proposed turning the building into this, with apartments and retail space. But a year ago, almost to the day, the company presented a design change to this, which was rejected by the city's Planning Advisory Committee. Since then, no updates. It sits a quiet construction site. The developer recently telling CTV News in an email they are reviewing cost information and there's not much else to report.
It is difficult.
Adam Peabody says the area has so much promise. The new Playhouse and Justice buildings are going up a block away, going from concept to completion in less than half the time the Centennial building has sat idle.
All of us, that do business and work, that move by it on a Saturday morning going to the market, look at it and hopefully see the possible and not just the kind of unsightliness that exists with the state it's in today.
Once an integral part of city life, the building's future remains uncertain. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
Thank you, Laura. Time for a quick little break here, but when we return, your complete maritime weather forecast. From Fredericton, we're off to King Street West in St. John, -12. Kaylin's forecast coming up next. Okay, Tuesday night, not gonna lie, not really sorry to see that one go.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Dust our hands from this one, although I'm sure there's still some cleanup to be done around parts of the Maritimes. It was good 15 to 25 centimeters of snow across southern areas of New Brunswick. Parts of Prince Edward Island picked up some amounts in excess of 20 centimeters. And Nova Scotia was a fairly widespread 20 to 40 centimeters of snow. The weather system then went on to, and continues to tonight, bring in some similar snowfall totals to areas of Newfoundland. And we have something to keep an eye on in our extended forecast, so more details on that in a moment. For the rest of tonight around the Maritimes, partly cloudy and cold. There are going to be some scattered flurries around. The flurries will be most widespread around western areas of Nova Scotia, from the Minas Basin down through the Annapolis Valley and into the Tri-County region, Digby, Yarmouth, and Shelburne counties, as well as a higher chance around the eastern part of Prince Edward Island, the north shore of Nova Scotia, and Cape Breton. In the flurries, it is possible there could be some localized amounts of around 1 to 5 centimeters as we move through tonight into the start of the day for tomorrow. Wednesday afternoon around the Maritimes, a mix of sun and cloud, cold and breezy, and there's going to be still a chance of some flurries in Nova Scotia. I mentioned breezy for Wednesday. Winds will be out of the northwest. They'll be sustained near 20 kilometers per hour, but with gusts up between 20 and 40, even around 50 on parts of the coastline. And the temperatures for tonight, very cold. Most of the lows well down to the minus teens for New Brunswick for tonight. Many between -14 and -18, down to -14 for Charlottetown and Summerside tonight, and a lot of low temperatures for Nova Scotia between -10 and -16, though a few, including Truro, as cold as -18. Highs in the forecast for tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick between -8 and -12 with a mix of sun and cloud, and a mix of sun and cloud through central and southern parts of the province, and a cold day with high temperatures of -7 and -10, -11 at Heartland. For Prince Edward Island on Wednesday, high temperatures -8 to -10 with a mix of sun and cloud, northwest wind that'll have some gusts between 20 and 40 kilometers per hour. Still a chance of flurries in Cape Breton around the north shore of Nova Scotia. The high temperatures tomorrow between -7 and -10. There will even be a chance of a few flurries drifting through around Halifax County with high temperatures between -7 and -9, -8 at Truro for tomorrow, -9 at Amherst. Cold in the Annapolis Valley, Kentville, Wolfville area, highs of around -9. Same thing goes for Middleton, -7 at Digby. On the south shore of Nova Scotia, -7 for Liverpool, Shelburne, and Yarmouth. Taking a look at our extended forecast, already watching for the potential for another nor'easter to develop this weekend. Starts in the Gulf of Mexico, makes its way to the coastline of the Carolinas, kind of spins up between that colder air over the continent and the milder air over the Atlantic, and then that strengthens that weather system as it moves northward at the end of the weekend towards and past Cape Cod. And that's when we could start catching some of the effects of it here in the Maritime region. Still some uncertainty this far out with this type of weather system as to exactly how much snow we can catch and when the exact timing of it will be. But it is something to keep an eye on as we move towards the upcoming weekend forecast. So, for New Brunswick, colder temperatures in place through the end of this week. We've got flurries expected on both Thursday and Friday, especially for northern parts of the province. Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud. And then watching for that potential snow. New Brunswick, not completely out of the woods with that one yet. Sunday into Monday time frame. Now, for Nova Scotia in the forecast, colder temperatures extend through the end of this week. Flurries become more widespread on Friday. There'll be a chance of flurries on Saturday. And then as for the end of the weekend, late Sunday into Monday, it's all up to how that nor'easter develops and begins to make its way northward. So snow possible right now for those 2 days. Chance of flurries on Tuesday. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, we've got colder temperatures extending into Thursday. Highs on Thursday near -10. Flurries in the forecast on Friday with a high of -6 for the start of the weekend. Snow possible Sunday into Monday, followed by a chance of flurries on Tuesday of next week. Bruce.
Okay, thank you, my friend. Wake up weather still to come. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The #1
#1 morning show in Halifax. Turk, Megan, and Amateur Alex. And home to the biggest artists. Halifax's #1 hit music station. 101.3 Virgin Radio.
You're going to like this. A very special litter of puppies recently born in the small New Brunswick community of Cambridge Narrows. As CTV's Avery McRae shows us tonight, the tiny retrievers are indeed a very rare breed.
11 brown and black balls of fur. At just 3 weeks old, these puppies are still learning how life works and have little idea of just how rare they are.
This is only the second litter in the last 2 years in all of Canada.
These are curly-coated retrievers. They are one of the oldest breeds around, says first-time breeder Juanita Pelli, nearly going extinct in the early 20th century. She says nationwide there are under 100 of these types of dogs.
I am very much filled with joy and pride for being able to raise the numbers and to raise the popularity of this breed in Canada.
Just like their more common cousins, the curly-coated canine is highly intelligent and a loyal family member.
We'll spend all day with you out in the field or hiking or hunting, but we'll also be just as comfortable curling up on the sofa, putting their head on their lap, watching TV.
3 puppies have already found homes in Nova Scotia, Calgary, and Washington, and Pelli points out the distance speaks to how rare they are. She hopes to have more litters down the line, with a goal to see the breed return to glory just as they were 100 years ago. Avery McRae, CTV News, Cambridge Narrows, New Brunswick.
Thank you, Avery. All right, we'll take one final break tonight. Coming up, a song we can all relate to, especially this week. First, though, it's your wake-up weather. Here's a live look at Fredericton on this Tuesday evening. It's -13 right now and a fair amount of snow around. Tell you how to dress for the morning when we come back. Wednesday morning, let's kick it off with a look at the wake-up weather and Kaylin Mitchell.
Yeah, cold start to the day, partly cloudy conditions. The afternoon, though, a mix of sun and cloud, so I'm hoping for some breaks of sunshine across the Maritime region throughout the day on Wednesday. Winds will be out of the northwest for tomorrow. They'll be breezy. The afternoon temperatures will be cold, mostly held several degrees below the freezing mark, and there'll be a chance of flurries for communities in Nova Scotia throughout the day. Bruce.
All right, thanks, sir. Well, now to a story that, frankly, a lot of us, Kaylin included, can relate to this week. As CTV's Ryan McDonald shows us, a Cape Breton man has turned one of his biggest frustrations about shoveling into a song.
Their driveways, he has what you might call a bit of a pet peeve.
The older you get, the more you understand that the plow driver is just doing his job, and there's nothing he can do about it. But there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse than finishing up a shoveling job and then there it goes again. I said, baby, the plow just went by, and your dad's back is bad at 35.
Now, the Sydney musician and father of 3-year-old twins has written a song about just what it feels like when the plow undoes some of your hard work. It's called The Plow Just Went By, and he says it was inspired in part by Cape Breton's infamous Snowmageddon storm 2 winters ago.
Where we were snowed in for 7 days or so, and that's where I wrote the majority of the song. So stay here, my little big eyes, I will be back to say goodnight.
The song will be officially released this coming Friday, January 30th, and while McNeil says he didn't exactly plan for it to come out the same week as a significant snowstorm, it doesn't exactly hurt that it did.
I hope that people can relate to it quite a bit and kind of see their own story in the song, for sure.
Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
Oh, we can see that story. Thanks for sharing, Ryan. Okay, that's the late news for this Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. If you joined us late or you'd like another look at anything you've seen, ctvnewsatlantic.ca is always your home for news and updates right around the clock. I'm Bruce Frisco. Thank you for staying up late with us tonight. Have a good evening, and we do hope to see you again tomorrow night.